Hey, what's up, everybody? How are you doing? I'm back. It's been a little bit of a delay. Been kind of a busy guy. A lot of things going on. A lot of traveling. A lot of family stuff. So I guess it's been maybe a couple weeks since I posted something here. But I'm looking to get back on the wagon. Actually, not fully, because I am traveling all next week. So we'll see. Maybe in a week and a half I'll do one more, and then I'll try to do it weekly after that. But that's what we have to go off of for now. But anyway, sorry about that, but I am back. Now, I think I left you last time telling you about the upcoming bachelor party trip to Austin. Well, I was going to lead with that. However, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the UNC Duke college basketball game that happened tonight, this being the 7th of February. And, UNC had this dramatic kind of comeback. They were down about 13 points. Seth Trumbull hit like this game winner with zero point 0.3 seconds left. And I guess they stormed it was in North Carolina or Carolina, and they stormed the court, and then they had to clear the court, and then they restormed it after they officially won when Duke couldn't obviously score with zero point 0.3 seconds left. So pretty cool. They were losing like the whole game, so I'd say normally it's kind of sad that you would storm a court, and I think it's honestly it's a little bit beneath UNC to ever really storm a court, and especially, I was going to say at home, but obviously you would only do it at home, so it's usually beneath us. But I would say Duke was the favorite; they're the heavy favorite, and we were losing like the whole game. I'm actually kind of shocked that we won. So, whatever. And to explain that part of it, so I actually went to University of North Carolina class. I don't want to tell you, but no, I'm kidding. Class of '04. So I did go to UNC. So I'm a big UNC basketball fan and that sort of thing. Now, to be fair, I've not followed them as closely, really, probably since my daughter's been born, so maybe the last like 3 or 4 years. But before that, when I went to college and all the way up until that, I watched them religiously and I was really into it. It's just, with everything in life, it makes it a little harder. As you know, I'm still like the big Eagles fan. I mean, I'm, whatever, I'm a fan of all of it, but it just makes it a little harder, to pay as much attention. So, anyway, so that was pretty cool. So, there's not a lot. If you follow Philly sports, there's really not a lot to like be happy about at the moment. The Eagles kind of are falling apart, and they're in turmoil. And the Sixers, they traded away. They're a good young player, and or one of them. The Phillies basically did nothing. So UNC, man, that's what I got. They come through. They've won 2 national championships or 3 since I've been a fan of them. So actually 3, yeah. So I mean they always come through for me. So pretty cool. Anyway, so let's get back to the aforementioned, the main, the meat of this here. So I mentioned, I was going to Austin, Texas. I had never been there, and I was going on a bachelor party. So it was my wife's cousin through marriage. So I guess that makes like some kind of distant cousin or something. And then before I even get there, do you like how much ice I have in this? Do you think I did too much ice? I don't know. It's pretty cold, I will say that. Anyway, so yeah. So I went to Austin, Texas. So this, at this point, was a couple weeks ago. So the bachelor party was with like about 20 guys. We stayed right off like whatever the main street. I think it's like 35th, 36th. I forget. Somebody will tell me. 36th, I want to say. I think we stayed on 6th Street, but kind of on the other side of again, I forget, was it the 130 or it's whatever that main highway is. So we stayed just on the other side of that, and it was like an Airbnb, but it was like 4 separate units, and they all slept kind of like 4 people. So that's where we stayed. But so we went on a Friday, like Friday morning, like first thing, and I'm in San Diego, so we flew out of San Diego. The my wife's cousin who's getting married, he was on my flight. A few of the other guys. We have like a text thread between all the guys who are in the bachelor party, which I think is probably pretty normal, and it got pretty wild. So, not with me, of course, because I'm super boring, but the people who were in the text thread, and I won't name names because this is on the public internet, but but there's some things discussed, and whatever. I'm no prude, so it's fine. I get it, but it was got kind of interesting. Anyway, so I was curious to see kind of what these guys were like in real life. So so anyway, so we go, we fly there. We get there around lunchtime. The room's not ready yet, so we go get like lunch or whatever at a place. We walk. We have to Uber, I guess, from the airport to where the hotel was, or the Airbnb, and then we had to walk, and we got lunch, and then kind of came back, and we had some drinks, and then the plan was to go to this place called the Yellow Rose, which is a gentleman's club. So I have not been to a gentleman's club in probably since my bachelor party. I went actually in New Orleans, and I kind of did, I'm in San Diego. My friends are, a lot of them are on the East Coast or like Philly area. So it was kind of a good place to meet, like in the middle. So I think that was probably the last time I'd been to one of those. It is funny though, because some guys are like, oh yeah, it's so great. Oh yeah, let's go to the strip club. And I'm not trying to be too cool, but like honestly, to me, I don't, like, you're paying them. It's really not that interesting. As I am married, but even before I was married, it's like my saying is, why pay for something you get for free or could get, So it's just, they don't want you, they want your money. So to me, it's fine, I guess, for a bachelor party. It's fun, and there's a lot of people that like that. I'm not judging you, whatever. And the women have to make the money, I get it. But it's not really my cup of tea. But anyway, so long story short, that's too late for that. But anyway, so we get to, the Airbnb. We're hanging out. We have a few drinks. We get some pizzas. So we eat pizzas, and then we're gonna go to this strip club at like 10 p.m. Right. So at maybe like 7:30ish, I got up really early, and I had a few drinks and stuff, and I was, honestly, my stomach kind of wasn't feeling great. I just eaten some pizza. It was greasy. So I said, you know what? Let me lay down. Let me just lay down for a minute here, and just kind of, hopefully my stomach will ease, and then maybe I'll hop in the shower and then get freshened up, and then we'll go to this club. So I got kind of lucky because there were several rooms, but there was only one room that had one person in it, and I did like rock paper scissors, and I won with another guy, and I ended up winning, and I was able to stay there. Anyway, so I go down, I lay down for a minute, and then the next thing I know, I wake up, and it's like 1 a.m, and everybody they're getting a limo or something. They were going to the club, the gentleman's club at like 10. So I'm like, okay, well, I get up. I'm not gonna then at that point get up and like try to like go there. I don't even know how long they were gonna stay there. I think they stayed there a while, but I wasn't gonna do that. So I just fell asleep, and that was it. That was my first night in Austin. I went to bed at like 8 p.m. So super boring. Great content, for the pod. But anyway, so that was exciting. Anyway, so that was that. Moving on, in the morning, I got up, but I honestly felt like really embarrassed. So I had woken up, and the Bachelor had sent me a text like, "Hey, Chris, did you leave yet?" Thinking I like was at the gentleman's club, and I never went. So I was like, I had to explain to him, and I'm close with him, like he's family, but it was still kind of embarrassing. It was like I was debating like, how do I do I play it off like, oh, I was there and I just left, like, and I was like, no, I just got to be honest and just say, look, I just fell asleep. There were a lot of guys that were like 20 or so, but he noticed me, that I wasn't there. I was a little like, why didn't they get me? Like the guys who were staying with me, and maybe they were like, oh, just let them sleep or something. I don't know, or maybe they just, because I'm not like friends. I wasn't like close friends with any of the guys who were there. Like I'm more like his family, and then he has his friends. And I've met several of them, occasionally, but I'm like good buddies with any of them. So I was kind of like, well, why didn't they wake me up? But at the same time, I can't really expect. I don't know them that well. Maybe they didn't even know I was in there. Like whatever, the door was shut, so that's fine. I don't really blame anybody. And honestly, I probably needed the sleep. I was tired, and whatever. So then, anyway, the next day, we get up and get ready. I feel better. I feel refreshed. So then it was funny. We ended up going to this. Not everybody, because kind of people did half the people did one thing, half did another, but we ended up going to this brunch place in the morning called Snooze AM Eatery, which is funny because that's actually, they have some in San Diego, so it's like a chain. I don't know if it's like a West Coast, or I guess it's not because it's in Texas, but it's it's like like your normal, like, I'm trying to think of like there's other places, but it's like a normal brunch place, like kind of a newer place, I believe, and it's good. It's fun. It's you never have a bad meal kind of thing. But anyway, so we ended up going. There's a bunch of guys. I ended up meeting a couple of my wife's cousins' friends who I had not met the night before, and they were pretty funny. There was one guy who I didn't know from like anywhere. I didn't know him at all, and we start walking, so we have to walk maybe 5 blocks to get this brunch. And he turns to me, he goes, "Do you like poetry?" And I thought he was joking. I didn't really. That's fine. A lot of people like poetry. That's fine. But I didn't seem like I came off as a guy that liked poetry. I don't know. I like reading, kind of. So I said, "Oh no, yeah, it's fine." But then, so long story short, he proceeded to read poetry to me, and so that was kind of interesting. But he went for it. And that's great. So that was interesting. And then there was another guy who was like really funny, and like when I first met him, he was like had a huge personality, and he was really funny, and as much as you could say I had a connection with a guy or whatever, it's kind of like that. Like I got a sense of humor, I guess. And so we ended up going to this restaurant. We're sitting down. They're all joking with the waiter. They're like, so at some point, this guy, the other guy, not the poetry guy, the other guy, like stands up and like does a toast and says, "Everybody like cheers for this guy's getting married," da, da, da. But not just like the whole place. And it was like packed. It's like a Saturday morning, totally packed, and like got everybody to like kind of be quiet and like do a cheers and whatever. And then they all clapped, and it was funny. But it was pretty cool. It was pretty funny. It was cool. We had a lot of fun. I had an espresso martini, and it was pretty funny. So anyway, so that was a cool part. Kind of made up for the night when I missed out. So then we went back to the room. I think there were some football game. There's some NFL on. So the plan was we were going to go to Leroy and Lewis, which is like a Michelin star barbecue place. Just, I mean, it's in Austin, but we had to take Ubers there, so it wasn't like walkable. But actually, where we stayed was very close to Franklin Barbecue, which I did want to try, but I didn't get a chance to. No, that's not Michelin star, but I think it's the most famous barbecue place um, in Austin. I don't know. That's from my research. That's what I saw. But anyway, so we ended up watching some football, like whatever, and then we ended up taking Ubers around dinner time or whatever. And one of the guys, actually, I think he had a client or he knew somebody, and we basically got like a private table for like 20 of us, and at this Leroy and Lewis, and I think normally they sell out of a lot of the meat or whatever, but I guess they held some over to give to us, so that was kind of a cool hookup, I guess you could say. And I'm not a huge like brisket fan. If not, I don't eat a lot of it. I honestly prefer, like, if I have barbecue, Carolina. I like Carolina pork. I like baby back ribs. More of like a pork barbecue fan. Now that said, my father-in-law is a cattleman, has a cattle ranch, so I should probably get more into that. But anyway, so so we ended up having. So they're really known for, well, obviously the brisket, goes without saying. But then also they have what do you call it? They have beef cheek, which I've never had. Which, I mean, on its face, pun intended, sounds disgusting to me because I'm a picky eater. But I'm trying to be, after I hit 40, I'm like, I made a pact with myself that I would try to be more adventurous with my eating. Like, my wife has kind of pushed me, so I'll try different things like octopus, different, things like that. So I tried it, and it was phenomenal. I mean, it was really, I'm used to eating baby back ribs and chili, so this is a little bit different. It's a Michelin star. I mean, take that what you will, but I mean, it was like fall off the bone. Like, it was phenomenal. It was really good. They also had other sides, which were really good. I'm trying to think what they were at this point, but we tried a bunch of different stuff. But if you're ever in that area, I would like to try Franklin barbecue, but I would 100% try this Leroy and Lewis. I think it'd be really good. And I would probably go earlier than we did to make sure you get the meat or whatever. But then there's also La Barbecue, and then I want to say Interstellar maybe is a place. And there's other two are Michelin star. And then Franklin is not, but it's like just supposedly the best, the most well known. And I'm sure there's other places you could try, but those are just kind of what I researched. I only went to the one, so it is what it is. Now, the one place when we had lunch on Friday when we first got there, I want to say it was called Social Club or Club Social or something like that. I think it was on 6th. But I believe that's the guy Franklin, I forget his name. But the guy that owns the barbecue place, I think he also kind of co-owns this Social Club or whatever it is. So that, at least we tried one of his restaurants or whatever. So that was nice. Okay, so we did the Leroy and Lewis. Now, I will say, during this, they had like it's kind of funny. They had a TV with whatever the football game, I think it was Denver, and I forget who they were playing. But maybe the Bills or one of them. But so the game was on, and the guy, you could see, so the guy who said it, like the best man, he probably went through like a lot of effort to try to reserve, this like Michelin star, barbecue place, like for 20 people. Like, it's kind of a huge, kind of a big deal. It's probably hard for him, maybe not hard, but he was definitely pulling some favors. And we're not in a sports bar. We're in like a nice barbecue. So they're not going to have like 30 TVs. And a few of the guys were like, "Oh, they only have the one TV." I don't know. They're like kind of complaining, and I feel like the guy, you could kind of sense he was like like I went through all this effort to get this, and you're complaining because we're not at like a sports bar. Like you should have. He didn't say this, but this was my take on the situation. And to me, it was kind of funny because if I was the guy who pulled it off or hosted, I would have felt that way. So it was kind of funny, in my view. So anyway, so we did that, and then we went back to the room or the hotel after we ate. It was honest. It was really good. Highly recommend. Yeah. And we kind of hung out. We watched the end of the games. I think it was, well, let's see. It was the Patriots and the Broncos. I think it must have been that. Or, no, I think it was the week. Well, I don't know. Whatever. No, I think it was the week before. I think it was against Buffalo, and Denver barely won. But their quarterback got injured. So it was whatever that game was. So, yeah. So anyway, so we watched that, or most of it. We didn't get to see the end. So we had tickets to see some guy named Sean. I'm not going to get the name right. But anyway, it was at the Joe Rogan Comedy Mothership, which I believe is on 6th Avenue. But it's like this new, comedy store or, comedy club, I guess. And it's pretty well known, and I know he has, millions of followers and has promoted it. And so I think it's kind of well known. And then I also think there's some kind of recent thing where there's like a toxicity of like the manosphere or something related to that I was seeing online. But it is kind of a new thing. It's pretty well known. We all wanted to just kind of check it out since it was brand new. So we went, and the guy's name was, I honestly am forgetting. It was Sean, it was Sean something. Let me see if I can try to figure it out. But anyway, when we went, it was actually pretty cool, like inside, like getting in. It was interesting when you walked in, and maybe this is normal, I just don't get out enough, but they take your bag. Or sorry, they take your cell phone, they make you turn it off, and they put it in a bag, and it's like a velour bag. I forget the terminology, but they make you put it in that, and I thought that was kind of cool, or it wasn't cool. It was interesting, I would say. Let's see if I can search. I just want to see if I can figure out who I saw. So Sean. Let's see, searching. No, not finding it. This is not what. It doesn't really matter. But I saw the guy. I can't find it. Doesn't matter. He was funny. I thought he was, whoever he was. I'll put the link in the description, or I'll find his name. Nobody's going to watch this anyway. It doesn't matter. But when I find it, I'll put it in there. He was a New York comic. And it was a very generic name. It doesn't matter. He was pretty funny. I would say it was like maybe an hour and a half, and the first like hour was funny, or the first 40, 50 minutes were funny. And then he told this one long joke that was kind of just wasn't that funny, and the energy went down. And then at the very end, he kind of picked it back up, and it kind of got funny at the very end. So, I mean, overall, he was fine. I don't know what I was expecting. I did think it was interesting that there was like, I don't know, it was the house comic. I honestly thought the first guy was like this really, it was this really fat guy. I thought he was actually the funniest. And I don't know if he was like the house guy or, whatever. But he was actually pretty funny. But I did think it was interesting. A lot of their jokes, or the threads of their jokes, they kind of had similar themes or whatever. Like they all three of so we saw three comedians. The opener, the middle, and the main guy, the Sean or whoever. But they all talked about having ADHD. They all talked about, like dick jokes and stuff like that. And they talk about like school shooting stuff, or I don't really know. I probably shouldn't have said that if this is going on YouTube. But the point being that they had similar. They all had similar themes, which I thought was kind of weird. Or maybe that's just there's data to say that these are like the funny things to joke about. I really don't know. So anyway, so we saw that. Then we ended up going to a bar next door and hanging out there for a little while. That was fine. And then we ended up going to a club, like walking to like one of those like type clubs. So we did that. And it was fine. I mean, again, that's similar to the gentleman's club. It's not my scene. It never really was. I don't mind dance clubs, but I like more like hip hop, or I don't know, not like techno or EDM or whatever you would call it. I don't like that. I know it's funny because I said this to my wife, and I said, I don't get it, honey. These people, they like this, and I said, I don't understand why, who would even like that? And she goes, oh, I love that music. I love it. So maybe I'm old. I don't, I'm not that old, but I just, I don't like it. Doesn't matter. So we're at this club. Well, the other thing is, so we had bottle service. Okay, so we had the little thing, and to me, it's like, okay, yeah, sure, if you're single or something and you want to like, oh, get these girls up. But again, the girls are just coming so they can drink your the alcohol that you buy. So they're not really, it's similar to strippers. Okay. But let's just say, so we did that. And I actually didn't even drink from what we had. I drank, it was like a bar, so I just bought my drinks or whatever. But it was funny though, because the guy getting married is in his like late 40s or whatever. And you kind of look across from where we're sitting, there's another like table, and there was like a sign, and it said like happy 25th or something. I'm like, oh God, there's somebody like half our age, like who's doing their party. Like, come on, what have I done with my life? Anyway, so here we are, and so I ended up leaving. Well, before I go there was at one point, because we're all either married or older, and like there's younger people that they're not interested, So at one point, this younger guy who had a bunch of girls with him got up on, they have like a pole, like right where the bottle service is, and he starts like dancing, obviously mocking, not about me or anything, but like the group, the group. And then one of the guys in our group's like, hey, get out of here. And I'm like, this is so stupid. Like, this is dumb. Like, what do we do? Come on. What are we doing? Like, can we go to like a cocktail? But I don't know. It doesn't matter. So that's what they wanted to do. That's fine. So I ended up leaving. And here's why it gets more interesting. Because the next morning, so we're in Austin. I had never been to the Alamo. So I wanted to go to the Alamo. Remember the Alamo? Davy Crockett. There's a Disney movie. I saw it when I was a kid many times. And I was a huge, history fan, or Revolutionary War, or Civil War, Spanish-American War. Well, not as much, but that was interesting, to me. I loved all that stuff, And Fez Parker. I actually went to it. So he was the actor who played Davy Crockett, I believe. And he's a winery, or I guess he's dead, or he's passed away, but he's a winery in Santa Barbara, which was in, when we did my favorite movie list, it was in Sideways. And I actually went there when I did my Sideways winery tour. So I went to his winery. So it's in that movie. I think it's not that anybody knows this, but in Sideways, where he takes the bucket and he like dumps it. I'm almost positive that's the Fez Parker winery. Anyway, so so I ended up I left the group that night like kind of earlier than everybody else. I mean, it's still like 1 in the morning or something, but they stayed till like later. They closed the place whatever time. So I went back. I tried to get something to eat, like a burger. Went to bed. Then I got up early. I mean, for me, having been out that late, I got up like at 8, and I rented a car. So I went and picked that up. So actually, it was kind of funny though. So well, I don't know if you say it's funny, but I went. So from where my place was, I think it was 6th, and then I think where I rented the car was like 12th or 13th or something, but it was on the other side of like this overpass. So I think it's 130 or 135. It's like the main highway, north and like running north and south there. But there's a lot of homeless people, and what are they called? Homeless or the unhoused. Okay, there's a lot of unhoused. Okay, and there's a lot of Waymos too, which I had not seen. I'm in San Diego, so I guess they don't have them here yet. But there's the driverless cars where they have all like the cameras and stuff. It's pretty weird to see. Honestly, it's a little jarring. But anyway, so I'm walking, but I have like I have a carry-on, but it's like it was huge. It was just like at the limit of a carry-on, and it's really heavy. It has like a ton of stuff. So I'm carrying this carry-on. It's like so heavy, and I have to walk. I don't know if it's 6 blocks, 10 blocks, because I had to go over, whatever. But it's like freezing cold. By the way, it was like freezing. And it's Texas, which normally, but it was like really cold for some reason. So I'm like sweaty. I'd been out the night before. I'm like sweating. I'm like carrying this bag, and I'm walking. And at a certain point, I'm like, holy crap! This is like the unhoused area where all the people. And it's 9 a.m. It's a Sunday, so there's not a lot of people there. So I'm like, am I gonna get robbed? Am I gonna get jumped? Like, what's happening? And I'm like kind of honestly a little freaked out. I don't know where I am. I mean, I knew what direction, but I don't know where I am. And it's all dirty and stuff because it's right near the underpass. So I'm like, I just need to get here, man. I just need to get to the car, So I start going like as fast as I can, right? I'm not like running, but I'm walking as fast. But at a certain point, the bag is so heavy. So a few times, the people passed me where I'm like, are they gonna, like they look like they could potentially, give me a hard time. I don't know. But I'm walking, and then at a certain point, I just start limping, not limping, but just laboring with this thing, kind of like this. And then at a certain point, they just kind of, these people, and I think I had a hoodie or I had something up. I didn't look great. Okay. Well, to say I didn't look great. And so I'm like walking, and it occurs to me, and it's almost like, if you ever, it's almost like in World War Z, where, the movie with Brad Pitt, if you've ever seen it, where, it's the zombie apocalypse and whatever, but they find out that there's like, the people who are dying, the zombies know, and they don't want to eat them because they know they're already dying or something. So there's like this one scene, I think it's in the movie, where there's all these people and they're getting attacked, but there's one little boy just standing there, and the zombies just all go around him, and it's because he's like gonna die, like he's like a terminal cancer patient or something. So the zombies don't attack him. So in this scenario, I'm like walking, I'm doing the thing, I'm like, do they think I'm one of them? Like, do I look unhoused? That's my, that's my hypothesis that I think. I think it would have been fine. I don't think I would have been jumped, but I'm obviously I'm joking, but so everything was fine. I got to the car dealership, but I'm like tired and like I don't. So it's like an hour and a half drive to San Antonio, and I really didn't want to do that. But it's a bucket list. Like, let's do this. YOLO, you only live once. Let's do it. So I got the car. So I'm driving. It's just a straight shot from Austin down to San Antonio. And it was fun. I was going. And then I was like, you know what? Let me stop at Buc-ee's. They have a Buc-ee's. So if any of you know what Buc-ee's is, so I'm from Philadelphia area. So we have Wawa's. That's like the big thing. So it's like a convenience store. Now they used to just be a convenience store. Now it's a gas station convenience store. But they have a lot of like pre-made food and different things. They have like pretzels, or they had hoagie. I mean, in Philly they call them hoagies, whatever. But I know Buc-ee's is supposed to be like Wawa, but on like steroids. So it's like a Costco size, gas station essentially with, like a gift shop, and they have like brisket, and they have like, anything you can think of. I think they're known for their beef jerky. They have literally, just if you can imagine it, they have showers. They have the nicest. I went in the, if I'm sorry, TMI, I went in the bathroom, and they have like, you don't share the stall with anybody. Like, you shut the door. There's like a thing. It's like vacant and not, and like if the door locks. So, and it was clean. It was so clean. There's just somebody just walking back and forth, and as soon as you leave, they clean it. Da, da, da. It was so nice. It was really nice. It was very crowded, and I took too long because I was trying to figure out what. So I wanted to get my wife and my daughter like shirts, or like a little stuffed Bucky. And Bucky, the mascot, I believe, is a beaver. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. And Wawa, I believe, is a geese or a goose. I don't know how you would say that. But anyway, I was at Bucky's, and I think they're in Texas and down south primarily. So I'm glad I stopped. I did that. So then from Bucky's, the one I stayed, I think it was Brunsenfeld or New Brunsenfeld, or that's not it, but it was something like that, Brunsenfeld, Texas. And then from there, it was about a 30-minute drive, I would say, into San Antonio, which did not look like a very big city. As I came in, and it was kind of like straight in right to the Alamo. And I was a little surprised that, at least from my vantage point, that Alamo was kind of in the city. It was, because to me, I always thought of it like, oh, it's on some, farmland, or it's out in the middle of nowhere. But it's actually like, from what I could, it's like in the city. It's like right there. And then it's actually like a block from the Riverwalk, like the thing you always see that, it has like, I assume it was, maybe it's a real, or it's man-made. I assume they diverted it. I honestly have no idea. But the Riverwalk, they've like the restaurants and shops along the Riverwalk, and it's actually, the Riverwalk's like a level below the street level, so you actually have to kind of go down steps, and it's almost, is it like Venice or something? I'm not sure, but maybe that's what they were going for. Anyway, so I went to the Alamo, so I parked, very excited, big Davy Crockett fan, and it was really cool. It was a lot of effort to get down there, but I'm glad I did it. I kind of felt, so I've done Pearl Harbor when I was in Oahu several years ago, and there was just like a sense of like, I don't know, like a solemn sense of like, I don't know. I don't, it just, you felt the history, the magnitude of it, it was just a very serious, somber, kind of reverent, maybe mood, and that's kind of how I felt when I was there. Now, maybe not as much as Pearl Harbor, but these guys, there were a lot of people. A lot of them died. Remember the Alamo? They all died. Davy Crockett, Jim Bowie, so on and so forth. And so the one thing, so I'm not sure if this is true, and I should do some genealogy. However, So there's some like family history potentially here, where the guy who invented the Bowie knife, or kind of made it famous, his name, well, obviously Jim Bowie, but the guy who actually, the blacksmith that made it, his name was James Smith from Arkansas in the 1800s. And so the Bowie knife was made famous by Jim Bowie, who died at the Alamo. And I think he was like sick during the actual battle. He might have been dying anyway, I don't know, from something. But they had a lot of like Bowie knives, and that the Alamo kind of made I think the Bowie knife famous as well, and Jim Bowie and whatnot. So I may be related to James Black. I'm not sure. I need to, because I'm Chris Black. So I need to do some genealogy work on that. But I feel like somebody in my family told me I was. And they could have been lying. That's possible. I know for sure I am related to Robert Fulton, who invented the steamboat. And that's that I 100%. I actually am related to him. And he kind of invented like the first submarine. He was like an inventor, so you could look him up. And he's actually very consequential. Like if there's different streets and stuff in America named after him, and then even like Fulton County, I know in Georgia, is named after him, and there's different areas or things named after him. So I 100% am related to him, but in terms of James Black, I'm not sure, and he's probably not as famous. But anyway, so I saw the Alamo, and the one thing I did want to do, which I didn't get to do, is go on top of the walls. I guess I kind of did. There was a museum, but I don't think it was part of the original structure. But I did see like the front of it, and a lot of it was realistically torn down or kind of in disrepair. But they did a good outline, and I was there long enough where I really did get a sense of like, okay, here's the front. And in the museum, I highly recommend that if you do it. There's a room kind of in the back, and it's narrated by, I think it's Phil Collins, the music, the singer. And actually his daughter's in Emily in Paris, I believe, the show. But anyway, Phil Collins narrates it, and apparently he was like is a huge Alamo buff, and he had all this memorabilia that he got in auctions and whatever, and he apparently donated it to this museum, which is on site of the Alamo. But anyway, the coolest thing, other than the structure itself, was they actually had a retelling, and he narrates. I mean, not live; it's a recording, but he narrates, and it's maybe a 15-minute narration of what happened at the Alamo, and it's kind of if you think of a toy train set, and it has the different walls and the different areas, and he just narrates what happens, oh, they breached the south wall, then they had cannons on this wall, or whatever, and then Jim Bowie was in there, and then they were in the barracks, and whatever. And every time he mentions something, it kind of lights up, a light, so you kind of get a sense of okay, this is how the week before the Alamo went, and then this is during the Alamo, the siege, and then they attacked here, then they did this, and then this is where the Davy Crockett was, and all this. So that part was really cool. And then once I did that, I was able then to kind of re-walk the grounds and really get a better sense of kind of what happened and where it happened. So all in all, I thought it was really cool. If you're ever in that area, I would recommend that. And I know I recommended a few different things. I won't recommend everything, I promise. There's plenty of things you shouldn't do, but I would do this if you're in the area. It's well worth it. To me, it's cool, and I'm into this sort of thing, history, and I'm kind of a nerd that way. But it was cool. I liked it. And then I did walk over to the river walk. Now I got a little frustrated because I was trying to go to this restaurant, and I forget the name of the restaurant, but it was on the river walk or whatever. But I was crossing over, and then you'd have to go upstairs and downstairs, and oh no, it's this way, and it was really hard to find, or maybe I'm just kind of slow. I don't know, but I eventually found it, though I was very sweaty and very pissed because it ended up getting pretty hot there. And when I went, it was it's January, but I'm walking and sweating, so I ended up eating, and it was good. It was a Mexican place. I had a margarita and a burger. Well, what did it be? No, I guess it wasn't. I don't think it was a Mexican place. It was just like a general food place. I forget. So then after that, I packed up, went home, and drove back. The 2 hours, and the drive back was fine. I kind of had my bearings at that point. I got back. So then, I would say overall it was, it was a nice trip. It was to celebrate my wife's cousin, he's a really great guy. Genuinely, he's a really good guy, and we were there to celebrate him. Now I'm not into as much the party stuff anymore, so that part I didn't do as much of. I don't think I was missed probably that much with that, and then I was able to do some of these other bucket list things. Alamo, see the river walk. I've wanted to do this. The comedy mothership, I thought that was cool. Having Michelin star barbecue, check, all that stuff. So I think I did it, in 2 days or what, 2.5 days. I really did it as well as I could. And if I had a week, I would have gone to the Texas, the house, or the state house or whatever. And the Capitol building, I guess, because it is the capital of Texas. The other thing I wanted to do, which I would not have had time, was to go to like Dealey Plaza and drive up to Dallas and see like the JFK assassination area. Now that would have been, I think, a 3.5 or 4 hour drive. So there's in the time frame I had, there's just no way I could have done it. So. But I'm going to do that at some point in my life. I'm going to make sure I get there and do that. I've done like layovers in Dallas, but I've never actually like seen Dallas or whatever. Not that I even really want to see Dallas, but I do want to see the JFK area. I think that would be cool. So yeah. So anyway, back in San Diego, everything's all good. It's been a busy few weeks. I don't need to touch on too much, but we did have like a nice dinner the following weekend. We got a babysitter. My wife's cousins came down. They live in Northridge, California, or it's like LA. Okay. And they came down, and then we went out with actually her other cousin, the one getting married, to kind of do like a celebration because they can't come to the wedding. They have a cruise. So we did that, and we went to this restaurant called Books and Records, and it used to be called the Bankers Hill Restaurant, but it's in like Bankers Hill, San Diego, and it was really great. It was highly recommend. Again, I keep recommending, but this one for real. It was a little loud, but other than that, it was great. The food was, I was kind of shocked by everything. I had the burger. I keep getting the burger. In this case, I had the burger, and it was awesome. It was probably the best thing anybody got, and everybody loved their food. So, if you're ever looking for something, that's a good one. So that was something. I also went to the Padres Fan Fest this past weekend. I took my daughter. It's my wife's birthday, and so we wanted to do like a daddy-daughter thing. So that was fun. It was super crowded, so we couldn't do we could have, but I didn't want to wait. She's almost like 4, so it's hard to wait in lines. So we were gonna run the bases, but the lines were too long. So we did like the bounce house. We did face painting. she met a princess or some like a Padres princess, whatever that is, and then was like rolling down those hills they have over like Gallagher Square, like back there, and that was it. It was a good time. She had cotton candy. It was again very hot, but we survived. We got a hot dog. It was nice. Then what else? Oh, my daughter got sick again, so a few of the days this past week I had to work from home and kind of hang out with her. And then the doctor, well, I don't want to talk about her medical stuff, honestly, but because it's the internet, it's, HIPAA or something, But whatever, but she's fine, but she got sick again. So then the next thing, and I'm going to probably wrap it up here in a minute, but so we are going to the actual wedding. So I've been to the bachelor party, I've been to the pre-dinner or something for people who couldn't go. Now I'm actually going to the wedding. So the wedding is going to be in Cancun, Mexico, at the Hard Rock in Cancun, the hotel zone. So we're going to go for about a week, and that's coming up here. So that should be fun. So it's an all-inclusive. I've done a lot of like YouTube video research on the different aspects of the hotel. So I think my big Alamo moment, if you will, is am I going to go to Chichen Itza? And I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong, Chichen Itza, but it's one of the 7 wonders of the world. It's like it's that like temple or the, come on. It's, let me do the Googling here of the Mayans, thank you. So it's like Mayan ruins. And there was like a temple or like some structure. It's pretty famous if you've ever seen a picture. But anyway, it's about a 2-3 hour drive. And they do tours where you can take a bus. Now the only thing, I would love to do it. It's like it's kind of a similar to like the Alamo, but it's similar in the sense that it's it's kind of it's a long day, because I think you go in the morning, you go there, there's like a town you stop in, and then you go to like cenotes, which are like those freshwater kind of little lakes or springs or whatever, which all that stuff is cool, but just the sense or the idea that I think you leave at like 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. and you get back at like 9 p.m. That's going to be a lot, and I know my wife doesn't want to go, and my daughter wouldn't come either, but it's just like I would go with like a random person, or it's not even that, it's just even just being away from this all-inclusive resort for a day when I'm only there 5 or 6 days, or like 5 days. It's like, well, why? But the thing is, I would love to do it, but the thing is, I'm probably never going to go back to Cancun after this wedding. This is it. I've been there twice now, and there's other places I'd like to see. So it's like, I may never go back, so should I just do it? So that's a consideration. The other thing that I know is that kind of near there that I would love to do, but I know there's just not going to be time, and I don't feel as strongly about it, but I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm not even going to try. But basically the crater where the asteroid that hit when that made the dinosaurs die out, 60 million years ago, that is in the Yucatan Peninsula, and it's actually a 4-hour drive from the hotel, but it's like a 2-hour drive approximately from Chichen Itza. I'm just going to stop at this point. I took French, if you're wondering, in high school. But anyway, so, I mean, in an ideal world, we would stay like in another day or maybe 2 days and like do both. And I think that'd be really cool. There's like a museum, but basically it's like the huge crater where that hit, the asteroid impacted, and basically tsunamis and all that, and killed out the dinosaurs. So I would love to see that. I don't know if I'm ever going to be back in the region. I'm not sure if I'll get there, but we'll see. It gets down the bucket list. We'll see. So anyway, I'll be doing that for like the next week. We're leaving soon. So I, take a lot of pictures, maybe some videos, put them on socials, as they say. But I'm probably not going to do a podcast. Although, hey, I may have time and maybe I'll want to. But I guess I can't. Nah, I'm not going to have my laptop. So I'm probably not going to do that. So I'll probably do one when I get back, and I can tell you all about it. And I'm sure it'll be fun. It looks, you can look up Hard Rock Cancun. It looks fun. And I haven't had like a real like vacation. Now, granted, it's a wedding too, but I haven't had like a vacation probably since we went to Hawaii, maybe 3 years ago, to whatever it was. So looking forward to it. Anyway, it was great to be back. It's been a while, but kind of get back into it. All right. So it's good to see you, and just remember, players, play on.